So do you ever have like so many things you could do that you don't do any of them? I feel like that is one of my biggest problems, and I freeze and time goes by and I do nothing. So one day a few weeks ago, I could hear motorcycles rumbling by, and sure enough, it was Friday the 13th, and a town nearby is very famous for having like tens of thousands of motorcycles every Friday the 13th. So I thought, let's just make something today, and those are usually the funnest days, and then I get wrapped up in making it work. So there were lots of motorcycles, and this is what I made. So I thought it might be nice to talk about how I made this video. It's pretty simple. What I love about creativity and directing is that everyone thinks you got to be an artist, but really you need to be like half an artist and half a technical person. If you listen to directors and cinematographers talk, they talk so much about technical details, how to make something work, the physics of things. And I think that's one of the funnest, the most fun aspects of being a director. I know how to fix things, I know how to do things with my hands, and it makes me so excited to make things work. If you saw the Sasquatch short film I did with my friend Maddie, you saw how hands-on me and Chris, my production designer, work on that thing. So part of this motorcycle thing is like figuring out how to make it work. So the first decision I had to make with this video is, do I shoot video or do I do stills? I can shoot a burst on my Canon, I think up to 20 frames a second, which is pretty good, that's great. But why not just shoot video? It's shooting 24 frames a second, and what's better, why not shoot 120 frames a second, which is what I can shoot on this camera. And so if a motorcycle takes half a second across the frame, I have 60 frames to choose from to get it centered and to lock it and snap it to the next motorcycle. Now, me being a dum-dum, I chose 120 frames a second in the menu, but I did not hit OK. So I shot this video in 24 frames a second. So what that means is the difference between a motorcycle being kind of in the center and kind of not in the center, I could have had 5 extra frames to choose from, where I'm choosing between a motorcycle being too far in left frame, and then I go to the next frame and it's too far in the right of the frame. I could have had 5 extra frames in the middle to just made it perfect. So that's where I screwed up. Now, when you're normally shooting film, cinematic video, 24 frames a second, your shutter angle is 1/50th of a second for this camera, because I can't do 1/48th of a second exposure for each frame. And because I was planning to shoot 120 frames per second, I thought, that means it's like I should have my shutter speed at 1/250th of a second. That's the closest that my camera can do. And what that'll really do is freeze those motorcycles. So as they go through frame, they're not blurry, they're not smearing across frame like they would if they were longer exposures. And then I decided to take it one step further and shoot at 1/500th of a second, because it's daylight, I have the light. So every frame is virtually frozen in this video. The motorcycles are pretty sharp. There's still a little bit of motion blur. So that's a way better way. Shoot 4K, it's way better than trying to shoot burst stills or something. My next sort of thing is like, how many motorcycles do I need? I went into our town because I could hear them rolling through, but there weren't enough motorcycles, so I went right into Port Dover, the town that all these bikes are coming through, and I camped myself out on the sidewalk in one of sort of the bottlenecks to get in town, and to bring a camping chair to sit down, put a sandbag on my camera, and then I just sort of figured, I don't know, do I want 15 seconds of video? I need 15 times 24, what is that? So I needed at least 360 motorbikes. As it turns out, I had way more than I needed, so I just sat there and marked them down. Didn't just leave the video running. As they sort of came through, like as soon as I could see them in my peripheral, I would hit record, let them go through frame, and then stop my video clip. One of the nice things to come out of shooting video for this is I also had audio. As I brought all those clips into the timeline and picked the most centered framing for the motorcycle, I added a frame hold, but I kept the audio in. The big sound design junkie, and I just love this natural sound of the motorcycles for each one, even though it's sort of like frozen and a still. The other thing is I wanted to use Dehancer, which is a film emulation plugin for Premiere. And what's really cool about it is not only does it add like a LUT to things, but it adds subtle things that you can only find in film, which is this halation and blooming and a really nice grain too. One of the things that I just really love is the halation. A friend of mine, a producer I work with, Steven, sent me a photo he took on film recently of a mountain range that's backlit at magic hour, and you can just see that red halation along the mountains. Dehancer does a really good job of making it just feel warm and like film. So on this one I'm playing around with, and I got another video I'll post soon that just looks nice and juicy and rich. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you like me talking about how I made something that you may or may not have cared about how I made it. But you know what? I made it and I shared it, and here we are, and it's the end, and you made it with me, and you're one of the only people. So I want to really let you know how much I appreciate you, and I just want you to know that I see you. We're here together, me and you, in perfect harmony. See you later.